Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard this morning, but it is really getting on my nerves. Let me just change this little bit right here. I don't know what's up, but yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. Welcome to the Java Cafe, everybody. It is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, and it is election day. It is election day. Y'all already know what to do. Get out, first of all, and vote. Even if you don't agree with my slate, get out to vote, and make sure that you make your voice known. There were people that died for our right to vote. There were people who were holes down. There were people who obviously died, but killed, lynched for a right to vote. So make sure you get out and exercise your right to vote. We're going to be a little brief today, but we are going to share some commentary about Austin Poly because we just need to. Unfortunately, there are those in our community that have taken their personal, somewhat political frustrations and have allowed that energy to allow them to assert some mistruths. Also, where there were calls for transparency and who's being compensated to campaign and all of that. In the 11th hour, we find out who. So it's interesting. Politics is interesting, and I try as much to stay away from the messiness of it, but it is it is an interesting process. Good morning to my brother Ant. Also, Homes by Jasmine, Fathead over Reggie, over on Instagram. Vise, Rick, what's up, brother? Good to see you in the room. Ari, good to see you. And JFK3, Jack, you got to change your name, JFK3s. But good to see you in the room, and congratulations on all you're doing in the cannabis industry. Helena, good morning to you on Instagram. And let's go over to the Facebook section and see who's in this morning. Pastor Naraki, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. We'll see you tomorrow. Speaking of that, I shared yesterday and had waited until Nia released the information, but I need the Mother's Board and others to keep the Grace family in your prayers. Nia lost her aunt, Deborah, the week before last, and the service is tomorrow. So please keep the Grace family in your prayers. Milton, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. Dina, amen. Good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Marion, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. Also, Sister Debbie, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Mother Lisa, good morning to you all the way from the DMV. Good to see you in the room this morning. And so, as I was saying, Sister Angela, good morning to you. I believe I'll see you tomorrow as well. Good to see you in the room. The Real Boston Media, we appreciate you sharing the stream this morning. Good to see you in the room as always. So as I was saying a few minutes ago, it's election day, and we need to, first of all, get out and exercise our right to vote. Facts. Valid. Additionally, as I was saying a few minutes ago, what is concerning me is, and I've been saying this for months, and I'm going to do my best to try to explain it as best as possible today about what's on the line here in Boston during this election and the election in November. We obviously see that there is a national movement led by white racist nationalists. Boston has a very interesting history when it comes to racism. Boston, up until the appointment or the by charter, when Marty Walsh was appointed by President Biden to the Department of Labor, at that time, City Council President Kim Janey, per charter, if anything happens to the mayor is incapacitated, the mayor leaves or anything, the City Council President assumes the role of the mayor and finishes the term. Marty left, and up until then, Boston had mayors that were white men, and a large population of that were Irish men. Mayor Menino came in, and similar to Mayor Janey, when Mayor Flynn was appointed by the Pope to be the Vatican ambassador, Mayor Tom Menino was the city council president, and he assumed the mayoralship. Up until Kim Janey, Boston had white men only as mayors. After Kim Janey, there was an election in 2021, and Boston elected its first woman Asian mayor who speaks fluent Spanish. With what I mentioned about what's going on nationally at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the attempt to erase the contributions that Black and BIPOC people and women have made to this country, we don't hear a lot about the rights to women's bodies anymore. There is a lot of, at the federal level, our public health system is at risk. Getting back to my point about the correlation about the white nationalist racist movement in Boston, Boston's busing history, the time that Black people really couldn't walk over in South Boston. Boston has a very tainted history when it comes to racism. And ladies and gentlemen, that is somewhat on the ballot today. Yes, it is. There is a movement within Boston to return to white male patriarchal leadership. Though the presumed number one contender of the Asian woman who speaks fluent Spanish is not of Irish descent, he's a white man. He's a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire and a millionaire one day. That is not the issue so much with his money. However, if you look at the record of the incumbent, we in this city have moved toward equity more than we've ever moved before. Facts. Finance system. Yes, it was ARPA money, but everything that Shagun did and that Excel sheet that he has, yes, with ARPA money. But guess what? He and the mayor didn't have to spend and move the ARPA money like that. Other cities didn't do that. So perfection, as Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley often says, is not on the ballot. Progress is. And the progress of what this city is moving towards, we can't go back. And with this attempt, there is a privilege and entitlement air coming from who the presumed number one contender of the incumbent is. You are polling at a 50% deficit. You then put another 3.5 million in your campaign. Boston is not for sale. And that's more than a slogan. Something at some point among you and your advisors, and I just don't understand the advice that he's paying all this money for advice that is not having him polling well, not presented well, and we're not fully aware of a lot of his proposed policies, and a lot of them are reactive. And let's take it back a little bit when I was talking about mayors. The mass and caste issue was an issue when we had a white male mayor. Violence was an issue when we had a white male mayor. Affordable housing was an issue when we had a white male mayor. All this time, with all this history and being involved, now you decide to run because we have an Asian woman mayor who speaks fluent Spanish. The progress that Boston is making and has made, and it's not just stop this thing. Two sides about the blackest summer ever. Let's not, and I get the energy behind, let's put the energy behind going out to New Edition and the parties and family reunion and things like that. Yes, we need that energy and more, but let's not disparage people. I've done it. Let's not disparage people. And y'all went out and partied, so go vote. Let's encourage people and educate them and help them, because there is a lot of miseducation and misinformation out there by people who presume themselves to be these knowledgeable people. And the truth of the matter is, you're saying and doing what you're doing because you have a personal issue. And and let me just park and kill a devil, as my father used to say. Um, yes, Michelle and I have known each other a long time. And in that knowing, do you not think that if we did not share more than 65, 75% of values and morals and work toward equity, that we would still be cool this long? Let's not forget that I had a couple of disagreements with her a few years ago. One, when she voted for the white man, Billy Linehan, over Ayanna Pressley. Had an issue with that. Two, when she became city council president and hired a black woman to help her engage the black community. Had an issue with that. However, candidates, individuals, we evolve and we learn. So in that long-term relationship, it isn't just because we're friends and that's his girl and all these other narratives that people are trying to propagate for reasons why I support Mayor Wu. I support Mayor Wu for a few reasons. One, we do agree on some morals and values. Two, some of her policies that have come out have been remarkable and historic, namely the most recent one this past weekend. That woman apologized on behalf of the Boston Police Department. Was one of the most, the police department was founded here in the 1600s to return slaves. In its creation, one of the most racist police departments in our country. That woman got up and apologized and got a lot of pushback from a lot of racists. Then and went and implanted the memory of Pauline Bennett in Mission Hill after all that family endured. She said something to Joey Bennett the other day that I found interesting. This wasn't 2 years in the making since the apology. It was 30 some odd years. How many mayors have we had in those 30 years? So, it is imperative that we vote for the continued progress of this city, and not just in the mayoral election. I've been talking about it a little bit, so let's go down there a little bit. Ari said the misinformation stomping is crazy, and it is. And it's motivated by personal gripes. Calvin, when he was on, he talked about it. Personal gripes. You have personal gripes with Michelle Wu because for various reasons. Some of it, yes, is policy, but some of it is because she doesn't engage in a manner like other mayors. She doesn't do the whole development, greasing of the palms and all that other stuff. And so, and what is so interesting, disappointing, and alarming to me is everything that I named about the association with the white nationalist movement. And I'll get the city council at large in a minute. Either you don't discern or you don't know, or either you do and you don't care. And your personal issue and a paycheck is allowing you to not see the attempt to infiltrate to old white racist Boston. I'm not going to move away from that. And let's move into the at-large race. Now, we have 3 black and brown incumbents: Ruthie Louis-Jean, Julie Mejia, Henry Santana. Julie Mejia and Ruthie Louis-Jean are pretty good. There are, I believe, I've heard from 11 to 17. I got to double check. The at-large candidates on the ballot. You get 4 votes, and the top 8 from the 4 move on to the general. I've been saying this, and let me say it again. Use all 4 of your votes for black and brown candidates: Ruthie, Julia, Henry Santana. Another name that I've been hearing a lot is Marv Mateo. Julia was on, Councilman here was on Urban Heat this morning, and she didn't endorse, but she said, take a strong look at him, a black man. And then there's Alex Valdez, who is a Dominican woman. Black and brown, all the way down. 1 through 4. And if you only want to vote for the 3, do not fill in that 4th vote. If you're not sure about Alex or Marv, write your name in. Here's something that we have to understand around strategy of people that don't like progress. If you look at the voting record and some of the statements, and also this very interesting energy of some of the white city council members, for one, the meeting that they had about Mass and Cass the other night, John Fitzgerald is the only one that had the least amount of time to do something when he got in. He's been in for 2 years come this January. Aaron Murphy, I believe, has had 2 terms. And who was the other one? Ed Flynn has had a couple of terms. Right now, close, with all that has went on with Mass and Cass in the past 2, 4, 6 years, you now want to, and the hearing should happen, absolutely. But you got to look at the timing and the intent. I'll close out and surmise it with this. Frank Baker's voting record and derogatory comments he's made toward non-Catholics, immigrants, the mayor, the women on the council, it's recorded, it's documented. His past votes, how Ed Flynn and Aaron Murphy moved from the incident with the chief of economic development. Neither one centered the woman that was really in a domestic violence issue. Political. And everything's political. I told the mayor herself in January, any and everything she does from January on is going to seem political. Murphy, Fitzgerald, Flynn, with now an attempt to bring Baker back to the council at large, at that, is an attempt to stop the further progress toward equity in this city. Hear me and listen to what I say. If Frank Baker gets on the council in an at-large seat and presumably knocks Henry, 1, we lose a man of color on the council. 2, the progress that is being made in this city will be attempted to be halted via votes of the city council. What old white Boston is attempting to do is take us back. And your vote for a continued progressive mayor and your vote for black and brown candidates in those at-large seats is what is going to keep Boston moving toward equity, plain and simple. Somewhat opinion, but if you see the handwriting on the wall, if you look at the records of those who I named and how they move. So let's go into some comments. Y'all are active over on Instagram. Ari said, here's a fun fact for the people. Massachusetts residents voted to ban rent control. They voted in the best interest of developers and landlords, not themselves. That voter thing that was on the rent control thing that was on the ballot. And Ari, to your point, a lot of the super voters and people that go out and vote, a large portion are probably developers. And a lot of us that are impacted by the lack of rent control for whatever reason, working 2 and 3 jobs. I'll park a little bit and say again and again, black and brown people vote. Both Michelle Wu and Josh Kraft and Domingo know that any path to victory in this city goes through the black community. Josh's base is old white Boston developers, millionaires, billionaires. Michelle's base is the progressives and a lot of other folks and a lot of black folks. Josh has some black folks as well. But the bulk of the undecided and all these campaigns know you do not win the mayoral here in Boston without the black bloc, the black voter bloc. It doesn't happen. So we have to get out and vote. this municipal, and then next year on ballots. There's already things. The AG just certified some of the ballot questions the other day. Cannabis, recreational cannabis is on the ballot. Rent control is on the ballot. And we got till next year to learn about it and plan to vote. Back to the comments on Instagram. I am Christina Melendez said, people are scared to call it what it is. I'm not. With the risk of people judging me and saying I'm prejudiced, and I assume that all white people are this or whatever. No, I don't. But if I don't know you and I've seen some of your actions and your votes and your comments that are documented, as Felicia Rashad used to say, or what was her name? Claire Huxtable, it is written, and let the record show. Additionally, in the Instagram section, good morning, Jermaine. Good to see you in the room. Helena said, Kristen, say it louder for the people in the back. Miss Ari Lee. And I talked about this, and I had them on the show and called them out on it. And you all did not understand and realize the reason that Nick Collins moved the way he did and stopped what Mayor Wu was trying to do was because they want to use this and also move toward developers. Ari says, Nick Collins blocked Wu's plan for affordable housing. Time to reevaluate who sits in those Senate seats. Ari, come here. Additionally, Christina said, Miss Ari, that makes me sad that this goes against renters' own interests, not realizing that as much as they hate condos, they might as well get a condo at that fixed rate. Daniel, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Kareen, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Let's go over to the Facebook section and see some of the comments over there. Donna Williams Bowen. Hi, Janky. Good to see you in the room. I think there is too much going on with personal issues. Comments. It's time to put friendships to the side and vote for who aligns with our values. And to your point, Donna, Mingo, my brother and friend, closely, very aligns with my values. Very much a man, a black man from the community. However, and this was an issue with Tito some years ago when he ran. And this is not disparaging the person. This is a systems thing. With what this city and this state is embarking upon from a financial standpoint, based on what the federal government is attempting to do to try to stronghold us, to allow, side note, ding, 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 see what happened with the Supreme Court yesterday. Basically, the Trump administration and ICE and DOJ can start profiling. I said Domingo yesterday, based on what happened in the Supreme Court, you got DeRosa on your truck. Now, the Supreme Court has made way for racial profiling. You know, before this immigration ICE thing, guess who was racially profiled the most? Aligned with his values. However, with what's going on at the federal level, experience with dealing with a municipality and budgets, line items, the law, we have an advantage of this mayor who is a lawyer. The law, and also the public health things that are going on right now. A change in the midst of all this national chaos, to Donna's point about values, and again, I said in the beginning, Donna, if you didn't hear, yeah, we're friends, but there's morals and values that go with the mayor, and also the experience right now in the midst of what's going on. Now, I appreciate both Mayor Wu and Domingo, who found it not robbery to come into the Java with Jimmy space and chat with the audience. Yes, I've called Josh out. I've called out some of the BS. I've called out the lack of a good, well-run campaign. I've called out the lack of policy. But if you're going to be mayor, you need to be able to answer the questions. You need to be able to not run away. And I told y'all, more than likely, he wanted to come. Last conversation he and I had on one-on-one, I told him, have your team reach out. But I did also tell him that people on his team, for various reasons, don't want him to come into this space because of the questions he'll be asked and the challenges he'll face. To Donna's point, I perfectly agree. but it's not just the values, it's also the I can't even say vision, the experience that is needed to shepherd us through the next few years, at least 2, 3 more. It hasn't even been a year with this man yet. So anyway, Donna, thank you for that. Real Boston Media said the eyebrows. I'm sorry. It just, I'm in that space. I did cover for city council at large, Obi. Anthony said, Baker's folks are definitely banking on him and Aaron winning. I just, we have attempted to, Nick, love you, sis. Thank you so much for the birthday. I meant to, so I need to get a pen because y'all are putting notes down and affirming some things that I've been saying for months. I missed something that the Real Boston Media said about HBCU weekend. Da, 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 da. Hi, Miss Teresa. All right, I got to go back and find out what that is. Okay. Anthony's point. Y'all got to go back and understand. Michael Flaherty was at large. Had a conversation with someone that moves in this space, and I know they're expert. And what the conversation was that that Mike Flaherty would not have not sought another term if Aaron Murphy didn't get on the ballot a few years ago. Aaron Murphy and Frank Baker at large represent the last stronghold that old white Boston has on the council. If they get Baker back on district with John Fitzgerald, in fairness, and if she's watching, I had someone that I respect, know, love, and trust reached out to me and say, hey, you're being a little hard on Fitzgerald. He's not a racist. And we had a inbox exchange about that. I always said that John can go either way. Y'all got to understand that old area over there by Neponset and Savin Hill. A lot of those folks are migrants from South Boston and help get him in. And if you watch some of his votes and his comments and who he votes with, but even if he is the smallest factor, the biggest factors of the last stronghold on old white Boston is Frank Baker and Aaron Murphy. In their perfect world, Josh would be mayor. You'd have Murphy, Baker, Flynn, Fitzgerald running things. And for the pundits and the strategists that are in here, am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. Go back to the comments. Tamara Lee. I am Pauline Bennett's oldest niece and have an issue with rule regardless. I'll refrain from elaborating on this feed. I appreciate that, but you can elaborate. But I just have to acknowledge the fact that you are Pauline Bennett's oldest niece, and aunt to or cousin to Joey Bennett as well. So honored to have you in the space. And I believe we probably saw each other on Saturday. Thank you for being here, Miss Bennett. Or is it Miss Bennett? Miss Lee. Sorry about that. The Real Boston Media. I'm not new. Meme unlock. Leave me alone. The Real Boston Media said Boston has had multiple black mayoral candidates, and notice how every single one has got blacklisted. Kim didn't get blacklisted. Let me go backwards. John didn't get blacklisted. Charlotte didn't do too much. I'm going backwards from Andrea went on to AG. John, who else ran for mayor that was black? Excuse me. That was black. The last mayoral candidate that kind of got blacklisted. Oh, Jesus, my phone is blowing up. All right, let me make sure. All right, let me just make sure I'm not getting no notes. Okay, hold on. All right. All right, I'm not in any trouble because a couple of strategists I had text from, but it isn't related to right now. So to the Real Boston Media's point, and this is something that I don't know what it will take for Black Boston to unify in a manner that we can come together enough to set a Black agenda, to get things done, to hold accountable when they're not done, to measure. A lot of people that would presume to do the convening or whatever have done things, including me, been opinionated, said some interesting things about folks, not lies and not character assassinations, but calling out some movements. However, to the Real Boston Media's point, the last meeting that I remember about a Black agenda was in 2013. It's now 2025. There are siloed, there are pockets, there are posts, there are surveys, there are organizations, there are coalitions. But for a true coming together to unify, we don't necessarily always have to be united, to what Uncle Thaddeus said some years ago. But to this point that the Real Boston Media said, not only in an agenda, but again, I just said that candidates who aren't Black know that they don't win the mayoralship without the Black vote. So obviously there's something there when we come out and we all participate and vote. Why can't we have a Black candidate? And let me say this. We make a lot of presumptions generally when we see people who look like us and who talk like us, walk like us, and presumption that their life experience leads us to believe that they would be more malleable around equity because of a presumed similar or similarities with our life experience. That is not always true. And right now I'm just talking about Black. That is not always true, because all skin don't mean kin. I'm going to stay focused. There is nothing that would make a lot of Black Boston sit back and exhale more about the progress to which I often refer, is to see a Black mayor. And not just seeing a Black mayor for action optics and visual optics, a Black mayor who identifies with our morals and values. And there's someone on the ballot right now that does. And the energy and the movement around him these last couple of weeks have been ridiculous. As I said yesterday, stats, data, and the fact that this Black voter bloc, unfortunately, based on past trends, data sets, and numbers, we have not demonstrated that we would come out to make Mingo number 2 or number 1. That's not a conversation about Michelle. That's not a conversation about Josh. That's not a conversation about Capucci, the other guy that's on the ballot. That's a conversation about us. And you know, I don't think they've all been blacklisted. Real Boston Media. John went on to do well. Charlotte just kind of doing other stuff. Kim is definitely doing well. Who else? Andrea. I'm going back a few years. There's a lot of elections under this belt. To Donna, what did I just say? A lot of the misinformation coming out among our skin, or among our kin, is coming from our skin, and not being fully transparent about the motive to which why you're advocating so hard for certain things. To Donna's point, and I said it's so interesting because the comments are a little bit delayed, and so Donna, thank you, Jenky, for the affirmation. I totally get the Black Boston. We can't even support each other and put things aside and come together. And the interesting thing about a policy in this campaign thing is the number 2 things that people propagated for an issue with Michelle in the Black community was white stadium, white poles, and speed bumps. That just hit me. White stadium and white poles and speed bumps. And mass and CAS and affordable housing. But the loudest pushback. And if those are the only 2 things with some of the personal gripes, Anthony, report came out. Kraft spent $5.1 million in this race. I'm willing to bet it's not just to support him. The money will trickle down to those too. And this, I troll OCPF. And I troll OCPF. OCPF is the Office of Campaign and Political Finance. You can go to OCPF and find out who's given and who's on payroll. And to Anthony's point, a campaign only has to report that they, for example, Java with Jimmy. Let's say the mayor hired me to run her ads. I get $5,000 from the mayor just to run her ads. I don't have to report that I hired Obi. To some extent, subcontractors kind of have to be included if they're contracted. If they're employee, it's different. My point is that there is an ability for people to get paid under the radar. One expenditure was for $800,090 something on media. That text y'all got, the negative media. From a strategist standpoint, who is spending almost $1 million off cuff? And you still polling at a negative 50%. Now, let me say this. Polls don't win elections. The Wu administration, Mingo, and probably the Kraft, they're not taking anything advantage for polls. But that expenditure did, and from a strategist standpoint, I told y'all at one point I started to feel bad for the candidate because somebody put a comment up in here. Shout out to Pastor Matt Jubilee that jumped on for a second. Somebody put in the comments over here that said some of his team blocked him from a few things. The way they are advising him and allowing him to, anyway. So getting back to some of the comments, Milton said he's running next time. Aaron, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Real Boston Media said blacklisted. They frowned upon them because they were black, which led to them not having the fire needed to win. It's to the Real Boston Media's point, as I said before, it's both. Right, wrong, indifferent. Presidential and mayoral candidates in Boston, you got to have charisma. That's how Boston residents, you got to have something about you that just does something. Michelle, been accused, don't have a whole lot of pop around, engaging. Domingo, engage everybody. Just he's just that guy. Just no matter what, he's just in your face, in your life. That's just him. The other one, so to their point, they have to have a charisma, present an agenda, and convince us that they have our values and our morals as priority, and an improvement on an equitable quality of life for everyone, especially the most marginalized. That is on them to communicate, but then it comes back on us. We talked about Mingo the other day. Everybody's liking, commenting, and sharing Mingo. How many people donated to his campaign? How many people are actually going to go out and vote for him today? Little bit judgy, little bit indictment. But I'm not new to this. The numbers, my hope and prayer and belief is that when you look in certain wards and precincts where Mingo has a stronghold, those numbers are skyrocketing. Got folks out to vote, and you can't deny what that brother has done at all. So it's on the candidate, to the Real Boston Media's point, but it's on us as well, not just to get them in, but also hold them accountable. I knew to this. I'm true to this. What I was just told by someone. And to the someone that just said that, thank you for your tutelage. Because when I was new to this, I didn't know a lot of truths. And again, I am not an expert, but I am not a novice. And I tell y'all that the intersection of working in City Hall, being around some unsolicited information, screenshots that I get from this platform, I can put one and one together and get three. And it just, anyway, not to get distracted. Closing out the Real Boston Media's point, it's on the candidate, but it's on us as the voters and supporters to donate, to go volunteer and help door knock. One of the reasons that Michelle Wu is the presumed winner and has that gap is because people show up in person and door knock for her. It's easy to not support. But then where are you taking the energy for support? It's good to post here. It's good to complain. It's good to call out. But where does the change come from the calling out that you generate enough numbers in the mass? There's been a conversation the past few days, and I don't necessarily think it runs like that, but it's a reason that it's perceived like that. I live on A Street. A Street has 100 eligible voters. Only 2 people out of the 100 vote in the election. It's said that when Public Works and administration goes and looks at voting numbers around fixing a street and a pothole and whatnot, that they look at who voted. What it really is and what it should be and is that city councilor for that district, no matter how many people voted, the city councilor is supposed to be the one that's like, we need money in DPW to get that pothole fixed. So it's that piece about them looking at who voted. Yes, it's from a political standpoint in campaign. They look at who votes where, and that's where they concentrate. Getting back to my point, the Wu administration posted that they knocked on 12,500 doors just this weekend, GOTV weekend. That does, and those were returns to what we call ones. They may have knocked on doors and people were like, I'm not feeling Michelle. I'm looking at Josh. They go back around again in 2 weeks. I don't like the negative ads, but I still don't rock with Michelle. They go back around again and they're like, yeah, I've looked at some things. I've seen what's going on nationally. And yes, I'll vote for Michelle. Candidates that you want to support and believe in their morals and values, they get to a point of success and a path to victory via you. And it's not just the vote. It's sure, and it's almost, I'm thinking in my mind, Jimmy, your Monday morning quarterbacking. But before there was a Java, we were talking about stuff like this. So when are we going to get to the point to where we move beyond sound bites, likes, comments, and shares and move into action? Back to the comments. Charlotte. There's always been a difference in thought between the Black elite and the. Now, Charlotte's the one going to get me started today instead of Dina. There has always been this notion that Black Boston elite and then the regular folks. I remember when I moved over here to what my landlord calls Lower Fort Hill, one of my boys was like, oh, you really Boston Black elite now. First of all, let me tell y'all something. I'm not an elitist of anything. And as much as their peers and as much as y'all see photos and all this other stuff, I ain't part of nothing. I've known people for years. We are hospitable. Some are friendly. Some are strong work associates in the work. A lot we share morals and values. But I just wanted to make that very plain that I'm not part of no wonderful group of elite Black Boston. And even in that, that and to Charlotte, to your point, it's not a new idea or whatever. But that is a point of contention within our Black community. It is. It is. Even to the point where when I talk about the positive that economic opportunity and inclusion has done for Black folks, I'll get some pushback and say, yeah, you got to be a small business owner. Yes, you got to have all your paperwork together and stuff. That's a given. But there is that line of unfortunate continued separation and division, Charlotte. It's real. And we got to figure out. Again, I wish I see some of the comments before I put them up. Miss Teresa, good morning. This has been by far the most contentious mayoral race I've ever seen. I've never seen such negative ads for a mayoral race like this one in clear fight for Black and brown votes. And if you go back a few months ago, almost a year ago, it was the same thing. Pastor Sharon, good morning. Good to see you in the room. The Real Boston Media, I love that they are engaged in here today. It's partially because we frown upon our own as well, harder on our own. They think they will all turn out like Mayor at. No, at Mayor, Jesus, Mayor Adams is a whole. Help me. Let's stay focused on local. Public safety is a huge issue, Donna. And I say it before, and I ain't got to prove nothing to nobody because none of y'all pay me for nothing. My rent is late. Well, there's one person in here. But anyway, this one right here, I tell you all often, and I've done some stuff publicly in this space. I've tagged Dr. Yarblough lately. I text Dr. Yarblough the other day and was like, yo, what up? This is one area. There has been improvement. Everything is streamlined. And again, if y'all know, y'all tell me. But I am not aware of a rollout, an update of what this new infrastructure looks like. I supported Dr. Yarblough going in that position. My point there is that as much as people may say, me and Michelle and all this other stuff, all trust and believe. There, as recently as this morning, I had to send a text and was like, yo, this energy is weird. So don't believe that I don't still say, text, and do what needs to be done. I just don't do it as publicly and as just as ratchetly as I used to do. Charlotte, MassonCast has been an issue since Menino. It crawls up my butt that this is falling in Michelle's lap when she's done the most to try to address the issue. It's not perfect, but Kraft claiming that he will put money into treatment, that means nothing if folks don't want the treatment. That and this notion, I was trying to jump on it early. You're polling at 50% deficit, and you just think you can throw money at people and votes and just buy the election. I'm going to get ready to wrap. It's 10:53. I got to go vote my darn self, and I got to go enjoy because I'm still celebrating my birthday. Thank you to everyone that posted, that put comments, that text, that did whatever. Thank you so much for my birthday. If y'all still, want to be a blessing to a brother, y'all can do that here too. We got the Yoda in the room. Let me get down to these comments here. I know her name is here. This Squiggy. I'm sorry. Sopana Penama. Listen, and I said it a few minutes ago, maybe Squeaky, that's when you commented, but told Josh Kraft himself, told some of his surrogates, he's welcome. he could have been welcome to come on here. And I was committed that was going to be it wasn't going to be Kevin Hayden, and it wasn't going to be Nick Collins. Kind of like 3 strikes and you're out. Even if I didn't want to, that would have had to been one of the most red carpet, soft pillow, hospitable interviews that I've ever done. Or would have been stern in the issues, but I wouldn't have added the brother. And especially since I started seeing some of how his team is letting him just crash out. Charlotte, to another point, that's real. Everyone wants a savior, but no one wants to show up. The cavalry is not coming. We are our own saviors. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to understand that. We had Trump 1. We had a pandemic. We have Trump 2. What is it going to take? Janky, I made a post saying the same thing. Let's not comment, vote. Intermediate, Real Boston Media. Squeaky, this is my point. I want to get to Carlos's comments and probably questions and a little bit of pushing here. All of the campaign clapbacks are sickening. And Donna, and I told somebody the other day, I've done little, because when I see the just disingenuous BS, it just if y'all know I could be going a lot harder, but Lowe said, hard to understand what the issues are that voters are basing their vote on. What's going on to bridge the gap between our elite and common folks? Agreed. Let's define elite. $1 million net worth, zip code, education. This dude, I'm telling y'all, this is crazy. Political says Kraft spent 5.5 of his own on your. Well, first of, see, this is some of the stuff political pundits, strategists, operatives know, and you can just presume a little bit. How you run your campaign and what you do on your campaign is an indicator of how you'll run your administration. The crazy is Political says Kraft spent 5.5 of his own on your City Your Future PAC. 5.5 of his own, and then 3 million on him, almost 10 million on a major campaign for a preliminary. Someone must be scared. And none of these, this is the thing that just, at some point, you got to sit back and be like, well, damn, is it worth it? Or is it the Everett Stadium that it's being fought so hard? You going to recover all the money you spent in the $66 billion, and you only want to give Boston, I think it was 750 million or 1,000. I don't have the numbers right there. So yeah, and one of the number one things, and we have a former elected and candidate in here, your political campaign is not supposed to be in any coordination with the Political Action Committee. You got one organization, you got one entity that is in the same, literally physically in the same office, but saying that they're working on different contracts, one for the campaign and one for your City Your Future. Right now, OCPF and one of the reporters, either Shirley or the other one, Joanne, brought out the fact and was trying to push OCPF. There's going to be some sort of hearing or discipline for the Kraft campaign for the campaign and the PAC colluding. So this there's some indicators there that we need to pay attention to. To support doesn't mean you're always in alignment. Absolutely. I just, as I told y'all a few minutes ago, I shot off one of my texts today to more the campaign side about something that is an issue for me. It ain't no blind loyalty. We were at a wonderful event on Saturday, and I got 2 seconds and pulled the mayor aside and said, blah, 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 blah. Come on, y'all. This and I said years ago, and I don't say it as much. Influence and these, what did I use? It wasn't influence then. It was access and connections or something. This without the purpose of utilizing that influence or access for the purpose of getting something done for our community. For what? What? What does it accomplish? Man, Squeaky said the whole race, I believe, is weird. Weird. Charlotte, he had put money into the Patriots. Now, I will tell y'all something I thought about the other day. If the Patriots were on fire and winning, this would be an advantage for Josh. Stop playing. It would. It would. He would ride that wave, something terrible. He'd be on the field every game. Charlotte, you did not say that. Carlos said there's 6 of us here, now 4. So there's a lot of folks in here that know what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. Well, Carlos got the intel. Here's one of the other candidates that ran and knows the system. Get out to the polls, vote, reelect Mayor Wu, everybody. Will is just anyway. Donna said to Milton, I want to know the data of the funding for the cookouts. For which cookouts? $8.6 million. These numbers tonight going to be telling. There is going to be an indicator. We will not fully know the further landscape of Boston politics until November. However, tonight is going to be a huge indicator. My prediction is, and I've never done this, my prediction is that when the final numbers come in, Michelle will have anywhere from as minimal as a 16.8 up to a potential 36.7 lead in the polls. I know there's a 20 some odd, but we just don't know. We don't know who's going to come out. We don't know who's going to go vote for Mingo to get him. There's this thing of getting Mingo to the general. Some people I've talked to said that in the general, they're going to vote for Michelle, but they're voting for Mingo in the primary, just on principle. We don't know. So anywhere, what did I say? 16.7 to 36, 16.8 to 36.7. Her last election, she beat the last person from 36 points. The poll has her up at 50. The other poll had her up at 30. But nothing can be taken for granted. And if you support Mayor Michelle Wu, get out and vote. If you support Josh Kraft, get out and vote. If you support Domingo DeRosa, get out and vote. You support the other guy, get out and vote. Every vote counts no matter who you vote for. And I just said them all, Dina. Thank you. Because for me, as much as I'm with Michelle, if we found that when we looked at the numbers and there was, voting for at large and you wasn't satisfied with the mayoral and some of the mayoral had blanks and whatnot, I ain't going to be totally mad at that. At least you went out and voted. But don't blank. Write your name in. Every once in a while, or every election, I at least get one screenshot. I wrote your name in. Write your name in. Write somebody's name in. Carlos said it doesn't seem to be helping though. The money, it doesn't. John King is at which vote Domini? I don't know which John. I wish it was John King from CNN. Squeaky said, "I'm here just for the watch party." Speaking of Carlos said 18 to 30, 16.8 to 36.7. It's a wide gap. I know, Carlos, it's a wide gap, but we just don't know. Kahuchi is that the other guy's name? Real Boston Media. I'm going to do one thing right now live. I will probably regret it, but this is something that we do with one of the staff over there. Coochie. I know he dropped they rather them drop their phone at work. All right. Your district race is hotly contested. I haven't even got into D7. I'm tired. Oh, it's 11:03. All right, y'all. I'm going to take a quick break and we will be back. I got to go vote. I have to go eat, and we're going to come back this evening and we're going to look at the numbers. I can tell y'all right now, as much as y'all think Black Boston elite and whatnot, thank you, Squeaky. Capucci. That's what I thought it was, Capucci. I did. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and we will be back with you I gotta get some new commercials, y'all. If you would like to advertise on Java with Jimmy, say you have a hat, say you have a button, say you have a button for your business or whatever, hit us up. We have some reasonable rates. And I'm going to say this. Stop randomly sending me inboxes of your events and stuff, and I never see a like or share of anything from yours. And especially if your event is generating funds and is ticketed, hit me up for rates. And don't just hit me, can you share this? This business platform has lights, cameras, electricity bill, subscription memberships. I upgraded the Roadcaster since 2020. So I'm listen. I told somebody yesterday something snapped 4 years into this 50. My zeros are less, and I have no problem asking any and everybody, what's your budget? Because when my rent's late, let me take this commercial because I'm way out there. We'll be back with you in just a few moments. All right, I'm back. I just needed to breathe. Hold on for 1 second. While I'm getting up to getting ready to wrap up. Just remember to get out and vote. Get out and vote and exercise your right to vote. We're going to do one more troll of the comments. Seek, what's up, sis? Good to see you in the room. Oh boy. There go Cliff. Cliff is in over on Instagram as well. Christina Melendez said, the one who doesn't release his own taxes in the campaign sounds familiar. I don't understand. Morally, among strategists, pundits, operatives, former electeds, campaign managers, people that the community leaders, as I said before, either they don't see the handwriting on the wall and the correlation. Christina just said the one who doesn't release his own taxes in his campaign. Who else did that? And y'all, Jesus Lord. All right. That was the comments. Tai, I think I got it. Court for District 7, she said over there. Tashad Court is running for District 7. All right, some comments, and then we're going to get ready to go. Y'all got him started again in less than 30 seconds. Obi said, if you don't know who to write in for the 4th, what? Lost by Obi say, last minute ballot, write in Obi for city. Obi. Carlton, him incorporated. People think time is free. We do what we do because of love, but without fun. It is a labor of, this started as a labor of love. Absolutely. Labor of love, labor of prevention, and all of that. But it is evolved into a business. That is Pastor Matt, others. Jimmy, it's a business. You are an entrepreneur. Oh, I've learned that the hard way. So to Brother Carlton's point, it is a labor of love, but the Bible says love covers a multitude of faults. And never mind. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about honor. And the translation of the word honor is money. So, all right, we're going to wrap up, y'all. Java morning to you as well, brother. Yes, I did put that commercial up. So for District 7, we know that former city councilor, and can I just say, I prayed and I wondered, and I know people have a lot of opinions, and when Tanya's ready to tell her story, I hope it's here. But when she's ready to tell the full story, she will. Me personally, I really had hoped that she would serve no time. But the fact that she has only been sentenced to 30 days is interesting, but none would have been preferred and best. But I just mentioned that because I just want to thank her for everything that she did for our district. And she had endorsed Brother Saeed rather, with the orange, because there's two Saeeds in the District 7 race. I've seen Tashad Court in community and in Boston While Black and doing things in community. Another contender there is Maverick, who a lot of alphas and a lot of brothers, are supporting him. I believe he was the presumed slide-in candidate if D7 had a special. That's just my conjecture. And there's Brother Wawa as well. I don't have a list in front of me for D7. I know who I'm voting for D7. I'm not going to tell y'all right now. We'll talk about it this evening. Y'all know who I'm voting for mayor. You know who I'm voting for at large. I'll tell y'all, I'm struggling between Saeed with the orange, Wawa, and Maverick. Those are the three names that I am considering. There is a influence in the at-large and in the district, but for the whole council, of ensuring that the voices of Black men are on there, or Black and brown men. We got Brian Worrell. We got Enrique Pepin, who was running a contested race in District 5. But yeah, we need to get out and vote, especially men and Black men, brown men. Get out and vote and make your voice heard. If the notion of the fact that if you don't vote, you're not heard, could it be that one of the reasons that we don't feel seen and heard is because we don't vote? Right, wrong, or indifferent? It's just a consideration for me to ask. So, who was Obi? I've heard a couple of names. I don't want to attribute the wrong rep to the wrong person, but I've heard some interesting things about a couple of these candidates. Who does it sound like to throw money at everything to fix it? A lot of my shade and stuff today didn't come initiated by me. Oh, Jesus, we must be hot today because this phone is. Oh, thank you for that birthday salutation. Oh, all right. I'm going to wrap up. Get out and vote today, everybody. Exercise your right to vote. If you have not, and tonight, if you're not happy with the results, if you're not registered, register. And if you're not happy with the results and you didn't vote and you didn't put, now let's be fair. 2 jobs, kids, medical appointments, emergencies, those are real. If you are well-abled, don't have children, or don't have a child care issue, and we've known about Election Day for months. The next Election Day is it's the first Tuesday in November. So I'm telling you 2 months in advance. The next Election Day is November 4th. Make a plan. We make plans, as I said before, to get our hair did, to get a lineup, to get the nails did, to go to the club, to make reservations. The continued progress with a strong pushback on ICE and the national politics, That's on the ballot today and in November as well. And so if you did not register to vote. If you were not happy with the outcome, make sure and you didn't vote, or even if you did and you're not happy, make sure you make a plan to vote on November 4th. Vote. Nia Grace put up a post the other day, and it lends a little bit into this elitist and bootstrap, pull yourself up by the bootstraps versus limited opportunities and whatnot. Those that are struggling, that are really trying to just deal with lifing, people around them see and know, and they try to support. You get a sense of those folks and just almost can't make the time, has not got to a point to maybe see the value because of life. Where I get a little judgy is where we have folks who spend time sharing a lot of opinion, gripes, some suggestions on social media in the space of electoral politics and civic engagement, but a good portion of them don't go to the poll. We just have to shift that narrative, because the power of more than ever before, do you know that there were changes and they're trying to just totally gut the Voting Rights Act? There are a lot of things that we take for granted and advantage of, that if you were to look right now and I always stumble on this word, trajectory of what he who's in the White House is trying to do, it is not totally unfathomable that a vote 3-5 years from now might not be an option. That man said some months ago, so y'all won't have to vote anymore. So weird, but do it while you can. And that is, did you all ever think that we would get to a point that someone would say something like that in America? Vote while you can? The hell? All politics are local. A lot of the buffer, the stop, and the pushback that we continually need in this city must be led by people that have demonstrated that they're committed to that. And I'll leave that at that. I don't think I'm going to go to any more comments, because then it will be another Now, wait a minute. I see a Jerome King to vote for, and I just see a Jay King that just hopped on Instagram. Is this the same one? Who is this Jerome King? Let me look up real quick to see if it's the same one. Uh-oh. Hold on. I'm going to get off of here, and we will see you this evening. I don't have access to nobody's tally sheet. What is a tally sheet? All right, let me do a quick education real quick. I think I said it before. A impactful, well-run campaign has a poll closer at every poll. What that means, what a poll closer is it's someone that goes to the poll at 8 o'clock when the machine shut down and the poll workers do what they have to do. They take the machine and they put this printout up that says, right now, based on what they see in the machine, these are votes for Wu, DeRosa, Kraft, Maverick, blah, 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 depending on your district and all that. Then what happens is I get on the phone and I call, let's say for the Wu campaign, I call the Wu campaign and I say, I'm calling from 17-7. And what I do is I take a picture of that tape and I report in to the boiler room my numbers. 10, 12 people, or probably 20 maybe. If there was a good team, you can get it done with 10, but a good team got about 25 people in that room. The calls are coming in or screenshots. These days, they're probably doing text and screenshots. And a one big tally sheet is getting the information all in real time. It's not an official number, but you get a good sense of who won and where the numbers are. I did this with Menino. I did it poll closing, and then I did the boiler room once over at IBEW over on Freeport Street. And traditionally what happens is to kind of exercise their political power and whatnot, you know, at-large counselors and others, they may have poll closers, but, you know, usually your incumbent has the strongest potential to know the unofficial numbers first. And so there is some political advantage to be like, hey, we're just calling to let you know you place here, da da da. I don't know who's going to do that. So anyway, that's a tally sheet. And y'all know the past few years, waiting on the city and the media outlets to do, because they probably have poll closers or they're probably feeding off of someone else's sheet. In the past, I've had access to some sheets. This year, I don't have access. So all that to say that we probably will not go live till about 9 o'clock as the numbers start to come in. If some community groups and coalitions, if y'all are part of them and y'all got a sheet and y'all got good poll closers, hit your boy up, because I want to be able to report what's coming in real time. So we're going to wrap up. We will be together tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow, definitely, to talk about the outcome. Oh, Leslie's talking about receipts. So there was something that happened when I went last to vote, and I was like, wait, what are y'all doing? But again, vote while it's easy and we can. I don't think a lot of that stuff that he's trying to do was going to happen, but we also didn't think he was going to win. And we also did not think that, well, let me wrap up. Real Boston Media. Oh, goodness gracious. Jesus of Nazareth, bless my soul. Mr. Jimmy with the ability to. Y'all have a wonderful day. And we will see you this evening at about 9 o'clock. Again, thank you, everybody that sent birthday salutations. We're turning up all month. I will be gathering at a Black-owned establishment at some point this month. No event. I'm just telling y'all to come, bring y'all money, and support this Black-owned establishment. So we'll keep you updated about that. Have a great day, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.